Am I the a-hole for not telling my ex that I adopted a child? I, 38F, have been single for 6 years. Though never married, my ex, Eric, 41M, and I share a 4-year-old son, Bryson. We broke up shortly after Bry's 3rd birthday, but were hoping to get back together. I got pregnant thereafter, but unfortunately miscarried. I wanted to salvage whatever I thought we had left, but Eric decided to move on. He is now married, and he and his wife have a daughter with another child on the way. Since our breakup, I haven't seriously dated, but I've always wanted another child. With that, I secretly started the adoption process a year and a half ago, and now I'm the proud mother to a beautiful baby girl. I never told Eric about this because he once told me in no uncertain term that our relationship only extended to our son. The adoption process was long but very personal for me. I only told my mom and best friend, who were largely supportive, though realistic about the challenges of being a single mom to 2 kids. However, when Eric found out about my daughter from our son, he was angry. He said that finding out that I adopted through Bry was childish and that he should have been the first person to know, since adding a baby to my household could affect our son. He said we owed it to Bry for the 2 of us to have a sit-down conversation with him about this. I informed Eric that I already had a conversation with Bry and that he was excited about his little sister. I also told him that what he was proposing would have been awkward since he and I are no longer together and he's not my daughter's father. He then got angry and said that as a single mother, Bryson's lifestyle shouldn't change because of a new baby, even though he and his wife now have children of their own. For context, I make close to $80,000 before taxes, not including child support. I let Eric know that I am more than financially stable to care for 2 children and was honoring his wishes that we only focus on Bryson, but he still called me selfish and accused me of holding a grudge. Eric's reaction frustrated me. I had respected the boundaries he set, but now he was acting like he had a say in my personal choices. I reminded him that my daughter's presence wouldn't take anything away from Bryson. He countered that it wasn't about money, it was about time, attention, and how this change might affect Bry. I reassured him that I'd taken everything into account before making this decision. Still, he insisted I should have told him first. My best friend thinks he's overstepping, while my mom says I should have considered his perspective. Now I'm second-guessing myself. Edit for clarification. My ex and I broke up 6 years ago, but we were still having fun time. We had Bry in 2021 even though we weren't together. I got pregnant again, but I miscarried in 2023. By the fall, Eric had completely moved on with his now wife. They've since had a child and are expecting another one. So am I the a-hole for not telling him?
Here are the top comments.
Not the a-hole. Does he notify you of any pending things like pregnancies that would affect your son? He moved on, got married, and had more kids without consulting her. Why should you have to inform him about her personal decisions? As long as Bryson is happy and taken care of, that's all that matters.
Not the a-hole. They call them exes for a reason. You don't have to tell him anything at all other than what the schedule for pickup of your son is. When he moved on, he gave up his rights to be involved in your life, except where your son is involved.
Am I the a-hole for not explicitly stating my punch is non-alcoholic? I, 25F, recently attended a potluck-style work party and brought a punch, which has since caused a problem between myself and another coworker, 42F, who we'll call Sandy. Last week, my boss hosted a party at his house to celebrate the end of the busy season and a job well done. All of my coworkers and their spouses were invited, and we decided it would work well to do a potluck to offset the cost of feeding everyone, about 35 people, since not everyone who came brought a spouse or significant other. I volunteered to make a punch that I've brought to previous work events that everyone said they enjoyed, as well as some fruit to go with it. This was a casual party with alcohol present, but since I have some coworkers who don't drink, I didn't add any alcohol to this punch and figured that if people really wanted some, they'd just add it themselves. Fast forward a couple of hours, and Sandy is getting even louder and more dramatic than normal and is stumbling around the party. I didn't think much of it and figured she brought her own drinks or was adding some of the host's alcohol that was put out into something else. She suddenly fell off the chair she was sitting on and made a big show of saying that it's because she was so drunk. She then asked me, in front of the rest of our coworkers, what it was that I put in the punch. I was confused and told her what was in it. Just a mix of ginger ale, 7-Up, orange juice, and a can of juice concentrate. She wanted to know what alcohol I put in it because she's been drinking it all night and is really feeling it. I told her that I didn't put any alcohol in it and asked if maybe someone else had spiked the punch bowl. Nobody said they added anything, and one of my coworkers who doesn't drink even said that they'd also been drinking the punch all evening and was still completely sober. I also would like to clarify that I understand how context can matter. Like if everyone else was really drunk, then that can make even a sober person feel like they're loaded. But that definitely was not the vibe. Sandy was the only person acting drunk. She then got really quiet and went by herself to the bathroom. The rest of my coworkers and I exchanged some awkward glances and tried to laugh it off. She left shortly after, and I received an angry text from her about how I shouldn't have embarrassed her like that, and that now she looks like an idiot in front of our bosses and the rest of our coworkers. She's been hostile to me at work ever since and is basically refusing to talk to me. I didn't think I did anything wrong, and most of my coworkers agree with me, but some say that I should have just let her go on thinking that the punch was alcoholic to save her the embarrassment. And I'm wondering now if I'm in the wrong. Am I the a-hole?
Here are the top comments.
How would it be any less embarrassing if the punch actually was alcoholic? Either way, it means Sandy doesn't have the sense to limit or moderate her drinking in front of her bosses and coworkers at work party. Not the a-hole.
Not the a-hole. The reason that she looks like an idiot in front of our bosses and the rest of our coworkers is because she behaved like one and then tried to throw you under the bus for her behaviors.
Am I the a-hole for refusing to help my ex-wife after our son decided to live with me full-time? I recently got full custody of my son, and my ex-wife is furious about it. We divorced when he was 10, and initially, we had a 50-50 custody arrangement. I've always tried to be fair, but over the past few years, our son has grown increasingly distant from his mom. A big part of it is that my ex has some pretty strict rules. I get that she's trying to raise him right, but things like grounding him for a month over a single bad grade or taking away his phone for minor issues just felt excessive. Meanwhile, I've always focused more on communication and understanding his perspective, which he seems to respond to better. This is how my body feels after going through this. Here, about 6 months ago, my son came to me and asked if he could live with me full-time. He said he felt like he couldn't breathe at his mom's house and that he dreaded the days he had to go back there. He even said that he didn't feel like he could talk to her without getting yelled at. After talking it over with him and thinking about what was best, I decided to support his decision. We went through the legal process, and my ex fought it hard. She accused me of trying to alienate her, but the court ruled in our favor, and now he lives with me full-time. I still encourage him to visit her, but so far, he's only seen her a handful of times since the decision. Now, my ex is reaching out to me asking for help because she says she's struggling emotionally and financially. She wants me to convince our son to spend more time with her, and she's even hinted that she needs money to cover expenses since she no longer receives child support. I feel for her, but I don't think it's my responsibility to step in here. I'm already covering all the cost of raising our son, and I don't want to force him into a situation he clearly doesn't want. I've tried to suggest therapy for them both, but she's refused, insisting that this is something I caused and need to fix. She's now telling our mutual friends and family that I'm being cruel by abandoning her in her time of need. Some of them are taking her side, saying that I should do more to help her get back on her feet, especially financially, but I honestly don't think that's my problem anymore. So am I the a-hole here?
Here are the top comments.
Oh my, this is very typical. Your wife has been living off of your child support payments and not developing a career of her own. That's why she fought so hard. If there is no alimony order, or I guess they call it spousal support now, you owe her nothing. That's what she gets for not looking ahead. Women want equality? Well, now we have it.
Nope, not the a-hole. She's not your responsibility anymore. And these mutual friends are welcome to step up and help her. And you didn't cause this, she did. Don't try and force your son to visit her more. He's clearly old enough to make his own decisions, and it will strain your relationship with him.
Not the a-hole. It doesn't sound like her problem is losing custody and access to her son. It doesn't seem like her main issue is the distance between her and her child. It sounds like her issue is that without the joint custody, she needs money. She relied on the child support, and not as she doesn't have it. She's struggling. That is not your problem. Quite frankly, she's lucky she's not paying child support.